Welcome to the Elaborate Topics podcast, where we focus on lab-specific strategies for medical laboratory professionals. We're proud to be the healthcare detectives that work behind the scenes to get the results needed to influence medical decisions. Let's grow together and jump right into the lab.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Elaborate Topics. We are into season 3 and we are super excited. And so I am here with my co-hosts, Lona Small and Stephanie Whitehead, and we have some amazing guests with us today. So before we get in and talk with our guests, just wanted to let you know again, we are in season 3. We are taking guests for this season. So if you feel like you have a topic, a medical laboratory or leadership topic that you want to share, we would love to hear from you. Just reach out to any of us on social media or submit our guest interest form. And we are on all of your favorite podcast platform as well as being partners with LabVine. So make sure you secure your free membership over on LabVine and you can catch all of our episodes there as well. So without further ado, again, I am super excited. We get to have been a partner with the Cell Bowl competition, and we have the honor of interviewing the winners. So we have the 2022 Cell Bowl winners, the University of Connecticut, better known as UConn, those Huskies, their medical laboratory science program. So we have their director, Bruce Blanchard. Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And we have the amazing team who won this year's Cell Bowl competition. I'm telling you, these students were on fire. They won the competition and it was awesome. So, Bruce, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit about the program and then the Cell Bowl winners, if you could introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity, to talk about our program. So as you know, there are extreme shortages in medical laboratory scientists throughout the country, and any exposure will hopefully help to fill some of those vacancies that we're experiencing in the field. So as you mentioned, my name is Bruce Blanchard, and I am an assistant clinical professor and director of the Medical Laboratory Science program at the University of Connecticut, or UConn. And today I'm joined by a couple of faculty members, and I'll go ahead and have them introduce themselves. Lauren, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lauren Corso. I am a faculty member in the MLS program at UConn. And this year I taught chemistry and urines and microbiology to everyone.
Hey everyone, my name is Jerry. I'm a graduate assistant with the program, for former graduate back in 2011 from the program as well, and very happy to be here.
All right, and I'm also joined by some of the 2022 Cell Bowl champions as well today. And so, Ruth Ann, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
But hello, my name is Ruth or Ruth Ann, and I'm a part of the MLS student body of 2022, and we graduate this May. I joined the Cell Bowl competition during my hematology class. Lakshmi kind of coerced me to it, and I'm so glad that she did. It was an amazing journey, and it was just really fun to like be competitive with other class schools, and I'm proud of Lakshmi, and thank you for having us.
Hi, my name is Alan. I'm also a part of the MLS program at UConn. We'll be also graduating in May. How I joined the Cell Bowl was both Ruth and Lakshmi persuaded me to join, and I did my contribution, but my scores were nowhere as good as them. So kudos to Lakshmi and Ruth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie, and I am also a senior in the MLS program at UConn. I had a great experience with the Cell Bowl. As Ruth and Alan said, I was also asked to join the team by Lakshmi and Ruth. They were definitely the leaders of our team, and overall, it was a great experience.
Hi, my name is Bethany. I'm a senior in the Medical Laboratory Sciences program. I was really excited about the cell bowl opportunity because I am very passionate about hematology and I'd really like to go into hematology for my career in the clinical lab. And so being able to participate in the cell bowl was a really great opportunity for me to continue practicing identifying cells that will help me in my career.
Hi, I'm a senior at UConn. My name is Lakshmi. I joined mainly because of Ruth. She says I coerced her. No, it was the other way around. She kind of got me to do it, and yeah, so that's how we got here.
Just a little bit about our school and our program. University of Connecticut is one of the top public universities in the nation. We're located in rural Storrs, Connecticut, about 90 minutes from Boston, Massachusetts, and about 2.5 hours from New York City. And our program is part of the Department of Allied Health Sciences. And we've had excellent success in our program since its inception, with our students finding 100% job placement and greater than 99% pass rate on the ASCP certification exam. And our cell bowl team was composed of 14 student members, some of which are here today, some of which were not able to make it today. And as they mentioned, they participated in a cell bowl during the hematology class in the fall. And currently they're in the clinical rotations at hospitals in Connecticut and Massachusetts.
Super. Well, obviously, again, congratulations to your entire team. We recently had Erin Odegaard and Tiffany Gill, who were kind of the originators and the creators of the Cell Bowl on our show. And they were talking about how they came up with the idea of the Cell Bowl and how it has really grown over the past 2 years to really impact clinical laboratory programs and the education part. And so, Jerry, I know that you had a huge part in, coercing your team or getting your team engaged and participating in the Cell Bowl. So I want to ask you first, Jerry, what were your thoughts about the Cell Bowl and what kind of drew you to getting your team to participate?
To be honest, I had never heard of it, the Cell Bowl before, and there's kind of a funny story, a short story as to how everything kind of got set in motion. Last summer, Bruce had given me some assignments to work on that involved me getting some information from the ASCP website. And I was poking on the website and ended up seeing, I think it was a news archive section of the 2021 West Virginia had won the Cell Bowl. And so I started reading the article and I went through it. And I thought it was really, really cool, really interesting. Never heard about it before. And then I immediately shared it via text to Lauren. And the response I got back was, "We got to do this. Send it to Bruce." Lauren is a former Division I athlete, so I think her competitive instinct kicked right in. And then credit to Bruce weaving it into the curriculum into the fall, and to Lauren as well. They really got the ball rolling. I kind of took a back seat and just watched it all unfold. And hats off to the students because they just killed it and did a great job, knocked it out of the park. So that's kind of how it all transpired.
Tell me, how did you really prepare, seeing that you had no idea about this? You just read about what happened last year. What kind of preparation did you put into this? And how did you, maybe, I don't know if intentionally or unintentionally, prepare yourself to have that winning edge?
So, Lona, initially, our class started in August. And to get the students comfortable with the Cellavision app that they were going to be using for the competition, I encouraged the students to go ahead and use the app. And if they submitted their best score or their lowest time that they got on the app, I was going to give them a lab quiz grade based on if they got a perfect score, they were going to get 100 on a lab quiz grade. So I kind of incentivized the program a little bit, the app, so that the students got comfortable with the technology. And then what I noticed as they started submitting their scores, and I think Bethany completed the or submitted the first perfect score that the class got. But as students continued to practice and get more comfortable with the technology and with cell identification using the app, and of course the additional added stress of the timed event that they had to complete these cells quickly. Once they started getting more comfortable, I saw that the scores were getting lower and lower and lower. And having done some research, I knew what last year's team had submitted for their winning time. And I mentioned it to Ruth and I mentioned it to Lakshmi, and I said, you guys have some competitive times, and I think that we could do well in this competition if you're interested in participating. And like Lakshmi said, I think it was primarily Ruth that then became the convincer and recruiter and recruited most of our 14 team members onto the team. And then, so with the class started in August, and the way our program works is we take one class at a time. So by the time the competition started, we were already finished with hematology. So I was a little bit concerned that maybe once they moved on to a new course that, perhaps their interest or ability to do well on the Cellvision app, might decline a little bit. But I was completely wrong with that. And our team really rose to the occasion. In virtually every week of the competition, their times just kept getting better and better and better. And as part of that weekly submissions, Lauren was a great motivational source who would send Cell Bowl songs to motivate the team each week. Well, Lakshmi, do you remember the first week that when the song that she sent? Do you remember your response to what happened that week?
No idea. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I just know because I know you sent an email. So after Lauren sent her first motivational song, Lakshmi got the lowest time she had ever gotten, and so she said, "Oh, Motivation Monday really works." So Lauren would send out these songs every Monday. But I don't know if any of the team members have any additional comments to mention, as far as related to our competitive advantage, so to speak.
Actually, this is a really funny story. So I didn't know all the background to all of this. So when I started, I was like 50-50 in and out, okay? And all I heard was what the lowest score was from last year's time. And what I understood of that was, oh, that was UConn's lowest score. So in my head, I was like, well, I just want to beat that score. So then it got lower and lower, and I was like, and then once I beat it, I showed it to Bruce, and he was like, no, this was the score of the last year's winner. We didn't even participate last year. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So it was mostly just me being really competitive with myself that kind of drove me to keep going. But that's kind of how it started out for me.
So, did you guys find that the more you practice, was it more about just getting more practice every week? Because did you continue even after hematology? Were you still practicing? And then I'm hearing that the more you find yourself at such a low score, the more you're saying, oh, wow, we can do better and we can do better. And it's like a motivation to keep you going and getting better. So
I think the initial motivation, like I said, I incentivized it for a lab quiz grade. I think the initial motivation was I want to get a perfect score. So they needed to get something less than 60 seconds in order to get 100 for their lab quiz. So that was the initial motivation. But then I think Lakshmi had mentioned it previously as well. And Lakshmi, just remind us, what was your first time when you how many did you get right out of 30 in 60 seconds the first time you did it?
Oh yeah, the first time I did it, I didn't even get 30 out of 30. I got a 13 out of 30, and the whole pie chart was just red. I was traumatized because at that point, The entire class had already started doing these quizzes, and I was just starting then. So everyone was like, "Oh, I got 25, 27, 30." I'm like, "Oh no, this is terrible." So that it was really rough in the beginning, but the more I practiced, the better it got.
And there's a timer is actually in the television app, actually has the timer. So each time you have to submit whatever it is, and it times it like how fast you were able to get it. Awesome.
And if you make an error, it subtracts 5 seconds from the total. So then you even have less time to complete the rest of the rest of the cells that are there. So yeah, it's a little bit of stress, and they kind of push the students to get their time. But yeah, once students got their perfect score, then like Lakshmi said, they were like, okay, maybe I can get below 55 seconds. Maybe I could get below 50 seconds. And we were in a separate course when they started the Cell Bowl competition, so they had to then do a lot of practice without having the reinforcement of being in the course at the time as well. So yeah, they did a great job staying motivated and staying competitive, and continually improving week after week after week.
Sounds great.
Well, Lauren, I want to know what kind of songs you chose to get people motivated about hematology. I need that song. How did you choose those songs that would just motivate you to identify cells?
I mean, I just picked like it started off like kind of like let's like just like the first week I think I gave him a Queen song, a song from Queen. And then I think it kind of evolved in my own head, and there were different weeks. There was Disney week, we had Broadway week, we had just like themes of like fun songs that they could listen to. I think we did I want to say we did 90s, and then I want to say we did one that was more recent, and then obviously towards the end we had We Are the Champions. And so like it was just meant to be like fun, even if they weren't participating or, encouraged to keep going. At least it was something to start off their Monday that was fun, encouraging. So I didn't have any like cell specific songs. But it seemed like across the board, Queen was the winner there.
Okay. So you heard it here. Whenever your turnaround times are low in the lab, if you just put Queen over the speaker, people will start producing lab tests quicker.
That's the hope.
That's funny. I love it. Scientists are some of the most creative beings out there. So, Lauren, it sounds like you have another career in your future as well as being a scientist. Who knew? Who knew the Cell Bowl would open up all of this? So, speaking of winning, I know it feels pretty good, right? You all are like the Super Bowl champs. So, thinking about winning, I have a two-part question. The first part is for Bruce. How has winning the competition elevated your students' learning or even elevated your program? And then for the students, the team here, what all did you learn from participating against so many other great schools about either your program or yourself in general? And so, Bruce, I'll start with you and then whoever from the team that wants to jump in.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, my original intention was, to get the students comfortable with the technology, because in clinical laboratories, more and more laboratories are going to digital imaging for differentials. So, I was hoping to expose them more to digital images, and we'll see how this translates as they are in their clinical rotation now. We'll see how this translates, as well as has it benefited them to identify cells better using a digital system, because our program is 100% microscope when we train the students how to identify cells under the microscope. And again, I think it actually better than I anticipated, because I know Lakshmi had mentioned previously as well that she was able to identify cells better under the microscope because of the work that she was doing on the television identification app. So it originally it was presented as, let's try something fun, let's do something fun. We'll give you some incentives to want to do this, but then it did work out, becoming a much more experience learning than I originally anticipated. And again, even students, like Lakshmi said, initially got a very, very low score, was only able to identify 13 cells. Each week, all of the team members that participated each week continued to get better and better and better. And in their defense, 13 the first week isn't a horrible score, because when we started using the app, we hadn't learned all the cells that the television was testing them on. So it became, as they learned more and more in the class, then they got better and better at identifying the cells. And as they got more and more comfortable with the app, then they got faster and faster and faster until eventually they got some absurdly low scores.
I can throw out a brief comment. I definitely thought that this competition showed me like areas that I can personally improve, especially when you see which areas are taking you the longest on that pie chart or which ones you're getting wrong as you're practicing. It really helps you identify which cells you need to spend more time on, and just leaves you more room for growing and opportunity to learn what you need to improve upon as well. So that was my experience.
Yeah, actually, I'll jump into just because to kind of see how Bruce incorporated it into the class. It's really interesting because they come in the first week. The students come in and we ask them, can you find a basophil? And you get all these hands raised. Is this a basophil? Is this a basophil? And then to start from that point, and then within a few weeks, they're getting these these unbelievable scores. Identifying micro megakaryocytes on the app and stuff. It seemed like it was a really cool tool to kind of supplement the microscope work, and it was awesome to see how well they were doing. It was super impressive.
And I'm sure it probably will put you ahead of the curve too, because in most of our laboratories, we have incorporated television. So if you're able to recognize the cells using the television app, which most of the labs are using, and under the microscope, I think is just going to put you that much further ahead once you get into the laboratory as a medical laboratory professional.
Well, I have a question for the seniors on the podcast today. And so I'll just be the one to do it, because you can't have a conversation without bringing up the pandemic or COVID. And so we know that in 2020, the pandemic created a very unique challenges for our educational programs, and really, challenged and created some barriers for program leaders on how to keep students safe and yet engaged and continue their education going. And so it sounds like Bruce and Lauren have, really tapped into their creative side on how to keep the students engaged and motivated. But for the seniors who were probably in the program in 2020, how did participating in the Cell Bowl continue to increase your student engagement? And what are some of the challenges or some of the unique experiences you've had over your program with that being a part of your undergraduate experience?
I mean, we were pretty lucky because as we were doing the bulk of the program, the fall of your senior year, when you're doing a lot of the training, the pandemic was kind of dying down. But even before that, it definitely made lab classes more difficult. And so some lab classes, for me at least, were put online. And that's kind of difficult when you're just watching a dissection instead of doing it yourself. But we were still able to make it work. We were still able to get a lot of good lab experience from later on. And even a lot of us, I know, tried to go out of our way and find other opportunities to still beef up our lab skills, even when classes were in a weird place. And so for me, at least, I went and found a research opportunity, and that was able to build up a lot of my pipetting and other lab techniques. And so I think in the end, we were all still able to make it work.
Lona, you're on mute.
Anyone else have anything to add to that in terms of adjusting to? Then we probably could move forward. Like, okay, what's the future pacing for you? What are you looking forward to once you graduate? Do we have maybe a few of you could jump in and answer that question?
I'll jump in. So what I'm looking forward to is just, gaining more lab experiences when you're actually in the field working. I know during clinical right now, I'm in the microbiology rotation, and I've been learning a lot through just, watching and actually working with the lab people there. And it's really taught me a lot about, identifying microbes and stuff like that. It's really exciting. So I'm just excited to see more as I learn.
I'll definitely agree with that. As we're progressing through our clinicals, I'm definitely excited to see the lecture content that we learned and really apply it to what's happening in the actual clinical lab. So it's great to see things actually playing out rather than just seeing it on a PowerPoint. Being able to do it in person and ourselves has been awesome.
Yeah, I agree with Alan and Katie. It's just amazing to see all that we've learned over the past year, like it's you see it now in the lab during our clinicals, and it just makes everything so much more exciting. So I agree with Alan, like in the future, I just want to see more, learn more, and build on what we've already accomplished over the last year.
And I know a lot of lab professionals are dying to have you guys. And I suppose you're in demand, right? So much demand that we are looking forward to have groups like you who actually this is a great learning experience to be actually using the television and actually really refining your skills when it comes to cell identification and having this visibility. Now I listen to you on YouTube. Now you're on this big podcast that it's like global. And so, there's a lot of labs that are out there that are looking to have you guys, and it's gonna be an exciting future. So looking forward to see how things go with you guys.
What advice would you give, and this is for Bruce first, what advice would you give to other program directors who may be hesitant about enrolling their team, thinking they don't have enough time to participate, thinking this could be overwhelming or a burden to the program? So what advice, based off of your experience, would you give to other program directors? And then from the students' perspective, because I know you all put a lot of time, effort, energy into it. We have students at our lab, and unfortunately, they did not hang in there with it. And so I know that this was a sacrifice for you all to keep the energy up, the momentum up, to study for the quiz bowl as well as your other studies. But what is your perspective and advice will you give to the next group who may be thinking about being in the quiz bowl based off of your experience that you had? So Bruce, I'll let you kick it off, and then team, I'll let you jump in because other students are waiting to hear your stories.
Yeah, so as I mentioned a couple of times, I think the initial interest was the fact that they could get a grade by doing this. As many students are, they're concerned about their grades, and they wanted to do well. So I think the initial stimulus to this cell bowl competition was, I'm going to get 100, and then move on from there. And then I think once they had some success using the app, then it became like Lakshmi was saying, became more internal motivation as well as the external Monday motivation YouTube songs that were coming from Lauren. But so I would say program directors that are interested in getting their team involved, give them some incentive to participate, give them the opportunity to participate. And then after that, just the competitive juices will take over. And we had a class of 25, 14 members participated in the Cell Bowl, and those